Afternoon, Dylan. Thanks for taking some time. How have you felt it's gone with being back with Josh for the last couple of games here?
Yeah, I think it's been going pretty well. I think both of our games individually are in a good spot right now, and I think we're playing hard and we're being direct with our reads and keeping it simple and playing within ourselves and not getting too crazy. And I think we're doing a good job of supporting each other and kind of just feels like back to normal with him. It didn't take too long to get acquainted again. So yeah, everything's been good so far.
We'll go next to Scott Billick from the Winnipeg Sun. Go ahead, Scott.
Hey, Dylan. Paul Maurice earlier this week talked about sort of about optimal playing time for players, and I'm curious. You're along in your career now. I'm curious to know: do you have a sweet spot, I suppose, for time on ice for you each night? Is there a specific time frame that you like to hit or play, or that's too much or too less, that sort of thing?
Selfishly, as much as possible, to be honest. I think any player, they want to play as much minutes as possible. They want to be out there, at crucial times. I think that's why we're all here, why we're all NHL players. For me, I just feel like the more I play, the more I feel like I'm into the game and I get more into a rhythm. I wouldn't say I have a sweet spot where, I would like to play this many minutes. Whatever I get, I just try to do the best I can with them. But I think naturally, every player likes to play, more minutes just because, it's fun to be out there and play. And I feel like everybody gets into a good rhythm. So, yeah, I think as much as possible as we can, but, it's whatever happens.
We'll go next to Derek Van Diest from Post Media. Go ahead, Derek.
Hey, Dylan, just want to ask you about, you guys were both playing in the second game of back-to-back the other night. It looked like maybe the legs got a little heavy towards the end there. Do you expect a little bit more flow in this game because you both had the day off and maybe have a bit more energy going into this contest?
Yeah, I think so. I think, that day off, back to back for both teams and both had travel too, right? So that adds a little element to it. And you could tell both teams were just grinding through that one, and it was a tight game and not much there really for both teams unless there was some type of breakdown. So I would think that there's going to be a little bit more free flowing. Hopefully it doesn't turn to a track meet and, we're trading chances for chances, but I would maybe expect probably some more sharpness in both teams play and maybe just better execution, with that day off and a little extra rest.
We'll go next to Mike McIntyre from the Winnipeg Free Press. Go ahead, Mike.
Thanks, Greg. Good afternoon, Dylan. Just curious how much you personally are watching the standings right now. A couple of weeks ago, it looked like there was starting to get some separation in this division, and now you look at it and it's starting to get really jammed up again here as everybody kind of hits the midway point and beyond. I guess, how much scoreboard watching, standings watching are you doing, and what does it maybe mean for these last 7 weeks of the season?
Me personally, I don't look at it too much. I would say standing wise, not as much. Probably the scoreboard is, I'm checking on the teams probably every night just to see kind of what just happened throughout the league. And, obviously this year in particular is just, with the less games and more of a sprint, to the finish here. So, every game's so important and because you're playing the same team in your division. So, all those games mean that much more. So, you string a few wins together, you can get right back in it. A few losses, maybe teams creep up on you a little bit. So that's kind of the nature of this season. So, you maybe keep an eye, but you got to just worry about your team, obviously. And, hopefully if you can string some wins together, you can keep climbing or separate yourself.
We'll go next to Kelly Moore from CJOB. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thank you, Gregor. Good afternoon, Dylan. Going back to your days in San Jose, I don't know how much you would have gone head to head against McDavid, but you obviously would have, seen a lot of him from a better vantage point than most of us do. But now that you're back with Josh, I would imagine there's a few spillover scenarios where you're on the ice against him like the other night. So how much tougher is he to defend now than, say, earlier in his career from your perspective?
I mean, I think he was a handful as soon as he entered the league, that's for sure. But, I think he just, his speed, obviously, for one, is just lights out. He gets that puck and he generates so much speed through the neutral zone there that, If you don't have a guy on him and he's got a step on you, he's gone. So I think he's been maybe more of a shooter than he has been in the past. He looks to strike right away. But this guy's, ever since he's been in the league, he's been an absolute handful to deal with. So every night he's keen upon, and he gets extra attention all the time, and you got to be aware when he's on the ice, because even you look at the first goal, he steps on the ice and 5 seconds later it's in our net. So we got to be aware and at all times, and it's got to be a 5-man unit, and just have to be extra cautious when you're out there against them, but play them hard and play them smart.
We'll go next to Jim Matheson. Go ahead, Jim.
Dylan, you were checking excuse me, you were checking Draisaitl once last night, and he hit you with a reverse hit. It looked like he hit you in the face. Was that an elbow, or what was that?
I'm not sure if it was an elbow or I think maybe it was doing a reverse hit or something. Might have been an elbow, but I don't know if you can tell the nose is pretty swollen at the top there. He got a big nose as it is, so I guess it gets in the way a little bit. But I think just a hockey play. I think he was just protecting the puck and maybe just trying to do a reverse hit and just came a little high and happened to eat one right in the schnoz there.
And final question to Ken Weave from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Weaver.
Dylan, you kind of touched on when you have more minutes, can you quantify the value of what that means when you're in a rhythm when it comes to maybe cleaner exits, when you have a few more touches and when you're in the flow playing 18 to 20 versus maybe 12 or 13?
Yeah, I just think, I don't even know how to maybe say it the most correct way. I just feel like you're just more into the game naturally from, like you said, the touches that you're getting and just, your legs are maybe a little more fresh because you're not sitting for 5-6 minutes at a time and small things like that. I've had times in my career where I've played, 12, 13 minutes, and those games I found were harder than the ones where I played 20 plus minutes, because it's you got to stay into the game at all times, and you have to stay mentally sharp as much as physically sharp, even when you're sitting for maybe 5-6 minutes. So I would say it's just you're more into the game, you're more in the rhythm, you're skating more, you're getting more touches, like you said, maybe you're on the body a little bit more just naturally from getting out there more with more opportunity.